piracy became an issue for the global music industry. Now, in Nigeria, it was like times 25.
Right, let's talk about distros and label services. Why are distros and label services companies growing in Africa?
It's for a combination of reasons. It's about the timing, it's about the era we are in, it's about the realities of the music industry, about the realities of Africa, it's about the realities of North. For example, global music industry, revenue sort of dipped around like 2006, 2007. CD sales sort of dipped around 2004, came back up for the first time in like 16 years or 17 years, 2021, right? So piracy became an issue for the global music industry. Now, in Nigeria, it was like times 25, right? There were times when artists were raging to go and burn shops in Alaba. I rumor has that maybe one of the artists actually burned a shop in Alaba. Yeah, I don't want to mention names. So yeah, it was some of those things, right? And then music blogs sort of started taking over in Nigeria. Sort of did a lot of jobs in Nigeria, but artists were still not getting paid. Even till now, the major revenue for artists still come from label, brand deals and live shows, and live shows, live performances. But it's still like a thing that artists still want to earn directly from their music, right? So streaming entered. Streaming became like a way for people to create cheap music where people can have high replay value and then generate some money for the music industry. Like over the past few years, streaming has generated way more revenue to the industry than physical sales for a lot of artists. For example, you saw Kendrick Lamar's last album, no physical sales, it was streaming, just streaming only. Like it shows the reality that we're headed towards. And I said something, I said it twice on the show already. Warner Music released their Q1 report, right? They generated about $1.2 billion. About over 700 million, about 776 million thereabouts, if I'm not wrong, came from streaming. About 120 came from direct music sales. So it shows you that streaming is where the world is headed right now. And the way for people to be able to take music to streaming is by distribution companies, and companies like that have like access to help you upload your music and some of those other things. So that's a snowballed into a business idea for label services companies. The label services companies that are like, so think of record labels. These ones are label services in terms of like digital, but a lot of them are also now thinking in terms of 360 deals. But the difference between them and majors is that a lot of majors in the old days want to sign you and they own your masters, you're signed for a few years, right? And they own your masters for a long time. With label services, it's licensing deals, and they give you an advance and some of those other things. So these guys moved into Africa at the right time in terms of streaming. Africa as a continent is very young, right? I read a review like last week that about, is it 53% of the country is under 18 years, of the continent is under 18? So it makes sense that they are coming into the continent at the right time. Internet penetration on the continent is on the air, it's increasing. Like I read a report recently that about over 500 million people in Africa are subscribed to a particular network provider. Like in Nigeria, for example, internet penetration is still like 10 or 15% off the global standard, but it's getting better year on year, right? As against the population and the usage rates. So, and it also ties into the fact that, for example, the majors left the country at the start of the military upheaval, right? Like in the early 90s to mid 90s, most of them left. Even though they were still signing Nigerian artists to foreign record label deals, most of them left the shores of the country. They only started coming back around 2018, 2019, 2020, right? Even though people like Whiskey and Davido signed to record labels in like 2016. So the model that we're operating here was the record label, big boy record label model, give you money, advance, give you house and car, and then everybody fights at the end of the day, right? So these guys came into the industry at a time where, and then they still own your masters. This guy, they brought a different model. Like there was a whole market here that was untapped. Like look at the majors and white American music capitalism has pillaged the rest of the world. The only place that they hadn't pillaged was here. I've said it several times. It was like significantly pillaged, at least, was here. Like there was still a lot of grounds to be gained. So it showed, when the majors were dragging their feet as regards parts of underdeveloped Africa, what these guys wanted to do was just, they came into the industry, they came into the continent and said, okay, we can gain market share here. And for a company like Plateau, for example, Plateau belongs to Apple. Like you're looking at Apple owns Apple Music. So a lot of these labels, a lot of these DSPs are subservient to DSPs and streaming platforms. I mean, they are subservient to major labels, right? They own up most of the catalogs that they have. Like if they take pimp against major label will say, UMG will say, we are pulling our catalog, they'll start crying because there's no money to be made, right? So it shows some of those things, right? And then, so coming into the industry, for someone like Platoon, it's about gathering enough catalog, right? And it's about gathering enough leverage and enough market share. So someone like Platoon or Empire, that's what they're doing. And these guys, what they have done here now is, over the past 5 years, they are putting slightly, maybe way more money into the ecosystem than maybe some majors. Like an Empire is possibly the most powerful label-related, music-related company in the continent right now. Possibly, at least in West Africa, right? It shows you that the amount of work they have for 1 RPM, for example, incredible catalog, like it's crazy right now on the continent. So why are they here? That's why they're here. That's why they're growing. Okay.
All right. What does the Warner deal with Ziiki Media and AFRICORI say about the influence of label services companies? I
mean, so what these labels are, what the majors are doing with distros, for example, majors have ridiculous amount of money. If Warner is making $1.2 billion in Q1, it shows you that the projections for Q2 is, I think, is about 1.9 thereabouts $billion. So it means across the year, you might be looking at $6 billion in revenue. That's healthy, right? So it means they are not going to make less than $1 billion in any quarter. So they are looking at over $6 billion in a year. So they are good. But can we say the same about all these label services companies? Maybe not. So what they are looking at here is these guys have the money. So what they understand that Africa is growing. Like Afrobeats it's also time for Afrobeats, right? It's time for artists for them to be able to export African talent. So it means right now the label services companies are doing the dirty work. So these companies are either going to snatch their artists because some of the deals that they sign with these label services companies are album related, 2 albums, 3 albums. Sometimes they sign for years, but it's 2 albums, 3 albums. So they'll just be waiting in the wings. Oh, you blow the artist now. When the artist blow, they'll just sign him and give him big money and they move on. Right? So that's number 1 job. Number 2, they're also looking at acquiring African catalog through them. At the end of the day, a lot of these companies are going to be acquired by majors, if they are not yet. Because an AFRICORI, for example, they had a deal with Warner Chappell as in 2020. They were acquired last year in Q4. Ziiki Media, they had a deal with Warner in 2020, I believe, as well. So look, it shows you that these labels understand what they're doing. It shows you that what it means. So they understand that there is a lot of potential here. So they are trying not to lose out. Okay, they have lost the right of first entry. Okay, now how do we then gain out? Put our noses in. Okay, let's acquire the artists, let's acquire the companies. Makes sense. And what we're also going to see going forward is maybe the African division of a particular company or a EMEA division of a particular company, label services company is going to be acquired by a major. They might not acquire the American. So it's going to be very interesting over the next few years.
Which of the label services companies do you think is the most powerful in Nigeria?
Empire.
Why?
The influence is ridiculous, bro. Like a month ago on Apple Music Hot Top 100, the top 5 songs on the charts were Empire Records. Like they are the ones that are moving like majors here. They have the power, they have the leverage, they have the right people in charge, they have the hustle, they have the groundwork, and they are showing working. So they are not showing. It's like Real Madrid. When Real Madrid wants to sign Ronaldo, they are saying, okay, you can come. I mean, where you are, you might win Ballon d'Or, but if you come, you might never win the game if you stay in England. But if you come here, you might win like 4. You know, we are Real Madrid. You know, at the end of the day, Mbappe is going to join them because he knows that he might not give you Ballon d'Or at PSG because PSG don't get leverage, they don't get level. You know, I mean, the level is growing, don't get me wrong, but you get what I mean? Yeah. So it's the same thing right now. They can say, oh, okay, come to us. We can give you this, we can give you this, we can make you bigger, we can make you a star, we can give you a tour, bro, if they can give you a Billboard Hot 100 hits, like they have done those things, so they can be pitching some of these things right now. So it's what it is.
Yeah. How has the success of distros and label services changed Nigerians' attitude towards contracts?
Bro, it has changed significantly. Like right now, Nigerian producers are living well. Increasingly, they're living well because a lot of them they are publishing deals right now. Like they understand their rights right now. They understand, oh, X is what I should be claiming on for the song, and even after I get paid for the song, I see them have X percent of amount in terms of royalties, in terms of this, in terms of sync, in terms of mechanical, I can still, if possible, I can still, okay, maybe I can win money. Like, they understand it now. For years, I mentioned to people on this episode, like when we were discussing last time, Foza and Yuri, signed contracts, but at the time, producers couldn't care enough because they were just hungry and they wanted hype, right? But now, I know producers are earning $5,000, $7,000. They're earning, someone is giving them $25,000 to make an EP. Like, it's healthy right now, and it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. Every producer that you know right now has a deal with somebody that's earning from. What's happened with Sam Clef is probably not going to happen right now to anybody. To a producer of Sam Clef's level, like anybody that produces on Rema Sound is not going to have that problem in 10 years. Do you understand? Right. You get what I mean? Like anybody that produces, it's not going to happen because rights are going to be sorted. Because those companies also look at rights to be sorted because they don't want lawsuits. It's important.
Right, why are label services deals more compelling than major label deals?
Because I broke it down the other time. It's number one is because of the format of those deals. Labels they're adapting right now, right? But it's just that labels, the model of labels is different. Sometimes it's this, that, but traditionally labels want to own everything because you can't blame them. Why labels want to own everything is because labels have tons and tons and tons of artists in development every year that they sign. And it's over 50% of those artists, you will never hear their names. And they spend money on some of those artists. Like, look at Ray, the British artist who was complaining some months ago, and then the label has cut her free. I'm not sure she released one album on that label. Like, they must have spent money, but they have to let it go. That's a public situation. A lot of private that I can't mention. Do you understand? Like, so these labels have, oh my god, like they'll put everything, okay, this is the one that succeeds. Okay, 360 deal. We're eating from your touring, we're eating from your ticketing, we're eating from your brand deals. Like, most people are signing to 360 deals right now because they want to make money. They don't know what's going to work. So when they see one, if there's a chance that you are going to work there, they want to earn as much as possible. Because from the one that succeeds, they can offset of all the ones that didn't succeed and they can still make revenue, right? So it makes sense. But with label services companies, they don't want to, right now some of them are doing past their 360 deals because they want to also make their money. But the truth is, in this particular situation, it suits African artists because, oh, you don't want to sign away your masters, you don't want to sign away your publishing, you don't want to sign away your this. Like, it makes sense for some of these artists to sign licensing deals. So they license the project to them, we release 2 albums, in 5 to 10 years I get it back, it belongs to my children. Do you understand? So it's not like they're owning it for life or in perpetuity. It makes sense for them to get it back. So that's the major difference in this particular situation.
Is there a world where major label deals are better than label services deals?
Both of them have their pros and cons. As much as major labels are good, yeah, the perks of signing to a major is still ridiculous because they still have way more influence. Because at the end of the day, all your favorite label services companies are probably going to sell out to majors. That's just the truth. Right? That's one. Number 2, it's better because it tends to make more money in terms of advance, right? And especially if you sign maybe a 2-album deal at the start, a 3 or 4 album deal at the start, if you pass those 4 albums, and then you have enough leverage, you can become a Drake that signed a $400 million deal, right? So, or maybe $100 million, $200 million, $300 million. Distros is probably not going to, label service company is probably not going to give you that, right? So that's why you're looking at someone like Bunny the Butcher. He has released projects on Empire, but he woke up one of these days and says, guys, I'm going to sign a major label. He's signed to Def Jam. Def Jam is Universal, right? And then all of a sudden, he's having his first Billboard Hot 100 hits. So you can see that the difference are there, but the thing with label services companies is just that ownership, and there's fairness in some of the things they do. Usually, there can't be fairness, and they are probably more open to negotiations. So in terms of, yeah, there's a world where it's better than that, and it's the world where you have way more perks, and because major labels have way more perks.
All right. So what changed in the attitude of the profile of artists that labels and label services companies started signing?
So the internet changed in terms of the traditional way people consume music. One, a lot of people that over the past 20 years, we have sort of slowly become digital natives. Like the audience has become B2C native. So that means that the way right now people can access a ton of different songs at the same time. It's not where you can buy, you have to buy a CD. So that means if you have 350 CDs, you can only access maybe 3,000 songs. But now at your beck and call, you can access 500,000 songs, right? That are all competing for your attention. Every day, do you know the amount of music that get released on Spotify? Ridiculous. That's what Spotify does, Boomplay does. Bro, it's crazy. So that means there's too much competing for your attention. And it's not like the young people these days have short attention spans. It just means that they choose what to put their attention towards, right? So at the end of the day, that means that what these labels now have to do is an attention economy where there's an attention recession, or an impending attention recession, as reported by several platforms at the start of the lockdown, right? So it means that these guys are trying to retain as much attention as possible. And that means that because of these reasons, a lot of them are also scared of losing money on ultra fresh artists. They don't want to sign fresh artists anymore. It's not like they don't, it's just that they are reluctant to do it these days. There's a reluctance. There's also a preference for artists that have done a lot of their groundwork by themselves. So that means it's either they have incredible social media following, they have a history of releases, they've been on the ground for a long time, and they've gathered fans that can fill up that can fill up theaters at least, and small shows and club shows. Like there's a market. They want to know that there's a market for this person, or there's a fan base for this person. That's why you're seeing someone like Bella Poarch, the TikTok influencer, getting signed by a major, getting signed to a record deal and releasing music, right? Because they know that even if you are not shown that you can make a lot of music, there are fans who are going to stream your music anyway. If once they hear that you release music, they're going to stream the records. So there's a theory of abridged type of work. Like before, they used to sign people from the ground, fresh artists. I mean, they could sign, but they could sign like people that have had fan bases sometimes. But the model was as they're signing. That's why A&Rs on the streets. That's why scouts on the streets. That's why they're signing some of these new artists. But now there's a preference for artists like that, and that's what label services are doing in Africa. I mean, they're still doing fresh artists, but the artists that you're saying is they're looking to sign some of those artists because as much as labels have things to lose and labels can't take risks, for label services, it's way more stringent. Like if label majors cannot afford to take risks, how much risk can label services companies can afford to take? So it's crazy. Like I'm not even talking about all the label services. I'm talking about the biggest ones right now. There's a preference towards those things because it makes sense for them. It makes sense for them to also chase it like that. That's it.
What's the current realities of things?
The current reality of things is that right now everybody and their mother is signed to a deal, to one deal or the other. Everybody and their mom, father, sister, like everybody's signed to every Nigerian artist does this. Everywhere you look, everybody has a deal. Everybody has a deal. Like, there's seldom any new major artists that you can go to that doesn't have a deal. They have either licensed or they have cataloged to somebody, or they have a deal with somebody to release an album. But like, it's because everybody's watching. They know whose contract's about to expire. Everybody's watching. That's the current reality of things. So that means like the model that you were going for people that have established fan base, a history of releasing music, or huge social media following, they're all occupied. So that's what it means.
Right. So what should label services companies start doing now? Why?
I think it's two models that they can exploit going forward. One, either the big, you know what Tommy Shelby said when he said, big fuck small. when he wanted to kill Luka Chagreta and he went to meet, what was that guy's name? The guy in Chicago. I can't remember.
The bigger guy.
Yeah, he went to meet that one. That one made a deal, bought all of Luka Chagreta's guys out, and they fucking killed Luka Chagreta. Big fuck small. So in this particular situation, the bigger label services companies have to start fucking the small label services company. Simple, right? So it's either that or they start doing artist development, signing fresh artists, because that's what we're headed to now. They have to start signing fresh artists. So that means they have to do prospective deals. A lot of prospective deals, because that's the way going forward. Because right now, everybody's occupied and the industry is also calling for newer faces. So that means more budget they have to go into artist development more and look to release artists more. It's that simple.
Right. So can you give us a quick breakdown of both models, the advantages and disadvantages?
The advantage of the model of the first model is of signing established, quote unquote, established artists because you have lesser work to do. You have lesser work to do, maybe not lesser work, but reduced work to do. And there's also the part where there's, quote unquote, a proven history of earning. There's earning potential there. They are proving that they can earn. They are proving that they have social media following. So that means fans can become, listeners can become fans. And you can now sell merch, you can sell tickets, you can go on tour, you can do all these things, right? So that means you can easily track. There's lesser work to do in terms of even tracking their profit, their revenue generation avenues, right? But in terms of the newer artists, you have to do everything from the ground up. You have to set the sound, you have to set the brand, you have to set the look, you have to set, bro, it's a lot of, and you have to start establishing the revenue generation models. That's why people choose more established artists, right? But in terms of like the smaller artists, right? The bigger artists might not be able to take 360 deals. And they have more leverage. That means you also have to spend more money. But the low artists, they are low hanging fruit. So that means you spend lesser money and you can start them to acquire 360 deals. And you can start to make a hell of a lot more money on them because they don't have any leverage. So there's that. So you don't have any leverage, and that's factual.